Hi friends, my name's Brianne and today we're in the studio talking with Brandon and Shelby. What did you guys think of your wedding video?
Oh my goodness, it was so special. I think it was just so sweet to relive that all, and it's just been a while. So I think just coming back and being able to experience that was really sweet. I have an ugly crying face, so that was something that I'm more aware of now that I've seen the video. But it is what it is.
It's raw emotion.
Yeah. What did you think, love?
Yeah, I thought it's a work of art. I was blown away. I think I came in expecting something good, and it was so much like it was even better, you know? So I think, yeah, it brought me right back to the moment, like seeing everybody's faces that we love and everybody who spoke at our wedding, and it was just so special to hear it all over again. And I like remembered things that I didn't remember before and I forgot had happened, and it refreshed my memory, and it just made it look like the perfect day that it was. Like it did exactly that. So, which is everything we wanted.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Especially because I think, because you already got the photos back, but I think there's something different about video because you can see the way you move together and like the way you talk, and it's just a whole different experience seeing video versus photo.
Sure.
So yeah, it's like reliving the entire day all over again. We did something a little bit different with you guys because the original plan on your wedding day was that you were going to sing the song during the reception, but because it rained, it didn't. So we brought you into the studio and we did a whole setup and recorded you guys in that type of environment. What did you think of that at like the end of the video? Because that was kind of special, different.
Honestly, I was not sure at first where it was gonna go,
Sure,
and so I remember thinking, I wonder what happened with the video. Like, what are we gonna see when we sit down and watch it? And that was probably the best case scenario, because I was like, is it gonna be weird to see myself singing in my own wedding video? Like it was just kind of uncomfortable, like listening to a voicemail that you left somebody, and it's like, oh, cringe. But I think coupled with the beach and going back and forth, that was such a cool way to integrate it. Yeah. And it was something I didn't expect, but it was such a good combination of almost creating our own background music. Yeah. And yeah, it looked so professional, and we've never done anything like that in the studio before. And so we felt very, very fancy in the moment doing it, and seeing it is like even cooler because it looks like it went together really well, even though it wasn't even a part of the day, which is crazy.
No, I agree. I think what Shelby said, especially like just integrating it with the other video you guys had at the beach, it just felt so natural. Whereas maybe coming into it, we weren't sure if that would be natural or how that would kind of fit into it, and you guys just made it fit so perfectly. So I think, yeah, it was great. I don't know. There's no complaints at all.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because that was, so like, I think, I didn't edit it. That was all Joe. He's the like mastermind behind the whole thing. But I remember we were talking about it and we were trying to figure out like how would like it feel, because we didn't feel like you guys would want it to be the background song to the wedding video. And I don't think Joe wanted to do that necessarily either. So I think the way that he put it together, where, you know, it ended up feeling almost like a music video.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because we had that extra like portrait session at the beach.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I thought it was really cool. It was perfect, I think, the way that it was. And I can say that because I didn't edit it. Just bragging on Joe.
Yeah, I think it was perfect too. Yeah. That was my exact thought. I was like, that was exactly where it should be. I can't imagine anything else. Yeah.
And he even, or we were talking about like if we were gonna do some of because we did that separate beach session afterwards, since you guys didn't get your pretty like golden hour on the day. We went off and did something else. I asked him if he was gonna put that in the video, but then like in the main wedding video. And what was really cool is like, although it was raining and you didn't get like the perfect sunset that like would have been amazing in the wedding video, I think the rain shots looked really good.
Oh
They
goodness,
look
yeah,
so
it was sick.
cool.
Like it felt
Yeah.
like we were in Oregon or Washington or somewhere
Florida.
up north
Yeah.
in the mountains.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it
No, it
really
was.
captured it. You could see
Yeah.
every drop. It was so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it felt like it fit a lot better than if we were to plug in, you know, the beach type of stuff.
I think you're right. Yeah. Like just keeping them distinct. Like they were both special and they both looked great. But yeah, to your point, if we had tried to maybe like force all of it together, it would have just been like messy. So I think the choices you guys made really made sense.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about watching your video on a big screen
Oh,
for the
honestly,
first time?
I had the thought that I'm like, damn, I'm never gonna see the video like this again. Like this is the only like
is
this will
the
be like the
best way to
best
watch
viewing of this video and that's it, you know? But I mean, I'll put it on the TV at home and it'll be fine. But I think with this, it's like, oh, sweet. Like this is such a cool experience. It's like a little movie theater. Like there's no more special way that I could have seen it for the first time. Personally, that was the thought that came to my mind first. But
Yeah, it's such a grand way to see it
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah.
It feels like the best way because it's so blown up and it's like theater style, and that was the best. Seeing it in such a big way made it even more special. And we're gonna continue to watch it definitely on our TV isn't quite as large as this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely cool experience. And cozy in these chairs.
That's true.
They are some cozy chairs. So in reference to the day, if you could go back in time and change something about it, would you change anything? And if you would, what would you change?
Well, I guess to clarify, is it like changing something that we did or didn't do? Because I mean, you guys know some of it was just like not in our
Like the
control.
rain?
Yeah.
We would love to change the weather. It would be great. Yeah.
Either or is it just kind of like
You could do both.
Okay.
So I suppose if you were Mother Nature, you
No.
would
If I was
change
God,
the rain.
yeah,
No.
or just change the weather. No, but
Yeah. Honestly, that part was really special.
It was fine,
In the
actually.
end,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
When we look back at it, it was like such a unique
for sure.
experience that everybody was like, "I'll remember this forever."
Yeah.
And we were like, "Awesome, that
Yeah.
worked out."
No,
But-
I think. Sorry, I interrupted.
Go ahead.
No, I think. Yeah. Initially, I was like, "Dang, this is crappy. It's raining. It's a storm. It's hot. It's just like all types of weird weather." But honestly, the more that I think about it, the more I appreciate the wedding for what it was, like in all its glory. Like it was raining and we were all just going through it, but it kind of like with that happening, it almost took away whatever like surface level stuff we might have wanted out of the wedding, and it was just like we're here to celebrate us and our love and all of our friends and family who are here they're just in it with us and they're celebrating with us, and it like brought that to the forefront as opposed to it being a ceremony or a day. So this doesn't answer your question at all, but I wouldn't change. I would not change that portion of it because I think, yeah, it just made it more special than like a normal wedding. Maybe it could have been. So, yeah, it was crappy at first, but it really became special after a while.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
I mean, I do have something that we would change in the preparation aspect. But I remember we talked about it, and we are giving advice to our friends to try to get somebody to help you plan because when you're two people who don't know how do you even plan a wedding when you've never done it before?
For sure.
And we just had no background whatsoever in how to go about it, how to research, what to expect. And we wish we had somebody who just sat us down and said, this is what you should focus on. This is what you should be doing at this point, because we were just so scrambling like the whole way through planning, and it ended up totally fine in the end.
We got there.
But but it felt like, oh my gosh, it felt like the longest marathon, but also like this is so happening so fast and we don't have time. And it ended up working out, and we had an amazing coordinator. So as long as you have a day of coordinator.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go without that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Never go without.
real quick, to add on to your point, I think maybe it depends on the couple or the people, but for us, we already kind of struggle with, let's say, like decision making. Like we're very, like we can overthink things, or I don't know, it's like, oh, this is a great option, that's a great option, this is a great option, and it's just hard to distinguish. So I think for us to have to do that and do all the research and do all the, like the planning, like if someone had like gotten all those options for us, i.e. like a wedding planner, and helped us, it would have already been a lot to just decide. So I think we had to do all of it, and it was kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe if you know yourself, or like for couples who know like that would be a struggle, maybe there's one who's grown up and like they just know what they want exactly and they've always known, but I don't know if that was the case for us. So it would have helped to have someone like really like guide us through that, I think.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember Shelby was saying like, I'm not very good at decision making. I know you all know that already.
Yeah.
The wedding video.
It was already a lot to decide every little
Just
thing.
to marry me was a lot. That was just a huge decision. So.
Not that part. That was easy. But yeah, deciding deciding what flowers and what music, and also realizing that certain things are not worth stressing about. Like I think when the day actually came, like you said, like all of that washed away, and we just focused on what the day was all about. And I couldn't tell you what, like I couldn't even hear the songs that were playing because I was so living in the moment that I was like, why did I stress so much about this song when I didn't even hear it playing? Like I was just looking at you and didn't hear or see anything else. So yeah, that's something big too that takes a lot of pressure off of people when I tell them, I'm like, don't stress too much, because in the end, it's special because of what's happening, not because of what you did about your flowers or your, it turned out great anyway, but.
So then piggybacking off of that, what would you say was the top priority that you should have or that you ended up focusing on? Because you said that you didn't really know, what should have been the top priority.
I mean, there's like silly things. Like for example, once we got engaged, we didn't know it was like dress time, like almost immediately.
Oh,
like
getting a dress.
Yeah, so like we waited months for Shelby to go to the dress shop and kind of sort all that out.
And somebody told me that I should have done it a long time ago.
Yeah, like right after the engagement, apparently, just because we had to kind of like rush and expedite some of the process where maybe, I don't know how many months we gave it, like maybe we did it like 6 months before our wedding, and maybe you should do it like 9 to 12 months before. Yeah, I think that kind of goes back to not having someone guide us through it. We were kind of just sorting it out on our own, but that was one thing. Was there other stuff that?
We ended up focusing a lot on music, but that's also a big value of ours.
That's just specific to us, I think. Yeah.
So that was something that we spent a lot of time on, like very tedious and like, but it was fun. It was fun for us to pick. But yeah, we ended up doing that more than we thought, and we kind of, it carried on the whole process until like the week before we were still choosing songs. So yeah, that was a big portion of our planning.
Yeah.
Dress would have been top
Yes.
up there, and then
just because we
other
forgot.
couples getting married.
Yeah, I mean, big one. This is relevant, but photographer and videographer actually were like so important. I think we put that off longer than we should have, probably, because and it. Like, thank goodness.
Worked out. It worked out fine.
Worked out. But I remember like stressing about it because we were like, every time we kept thinking, oh, we should probably do this. It was like, okay, we should have done it yesterday. We need to just do it. And thank goodness it worked out, and we didn't wait too long because you guys would have been booked up.
Yeah.
But that was something that I remember people saying, like, dates go so fast, like dates go a year ahead. So. That was a big one that thank goodness we didn't wait too long. But that we could have easily not realized the importance of it to the point where like all the good ones are booked. But it worked out. So that's something I'm really glad that we prioritized, because that was such a big, like, documenting was huge for us, because that's something with the video, it shows like we want to be able to relive it, and that was really important. So
I mean, that's like the photo and the video is the stuff that's going to carry through the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Sure. Yeah.
Like the flowers.
They're gonna die. They're gonna wilt.
People are gonna eat the food and then it's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Although I do remember you had boba. That was really good.
That was that
We did
was a good
prioritize
choice.
that as well,
That was a
yeah.
good priority.
But yeah, I think the photo and video is so important, and people don't realize like things start booking out a year in advance.
Oh my goodness,
you know?
yeah,
Fast.
yeah.
Really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point. I totally forgot. So yeah,
Yeah.
dress and vendors like ASAP. Like you get
Yeah.
engaged the next day, get your dress and vendors. I don't know. soon,
Yeah.
soon after.
good tips for sure. What do you think was the best decision that you made?
And that's anything, or like wedding related, obviously. But
Best decision you made? Marrying you.
yeah,
This guy. No. Besides that.
yeah. I think, and this is not to, I'm not trying to brown nose, but it's just like I feel like the vendors that we had were just awesome. Like all around, you guys, our DJ, most everyone who was there that day helping us out. It felt like we were all in it together, and you guys were so supportive of us and encouraging. I think that day is just intense in general, and it became extra intense when everything felt like it was going wrong a little bit. But like we just chose, maybe we didn't know it, but like hiring you guys and hiring a lot of the other people, they were just so encouraging and so supportive of us in that moment, and really trying to help keep us like just enjoying the moment, not really getting distracted. So I think we did do well in that aspect.
To add on, I think the best decision we made in that way was getting people who, like, having people a part of our wedding who we felt like would make it a better day. Like, not even just for the services, but who they are as people was a big priority for us. And I think we could have easily been like, oh, we really like this person's work. That's it. But we prioritized getting to know our vendors and really seeing if it was a good fit, and if overall, if the day would become better and less stressful and more enjoyable and just the best day, no worries at all. And that's exactly what happened. So I think we owe it to those beginning stages of talking to them and seeing if we got along, and if we could see the day being just even better with them in it, with them as a part of it, because it's such a huge part of the day is having everybody come together and make it happen. And that's exactly what happened. So that was super, super helpful and beneficial for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had some pretty great people there that day. Especially considering everything that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Could have
We're
gone
like,
wrong.
is the rain gonna stop? Is it? And then
it
it
didn't
stopped.
stop.
And then it kept going.
Yes.
And it's like, all right, let's just dance in the rain and enjoy the whole day, you
Yeah.
know? And everyone was, it really did feel like everyone was a team working together. So,
For sure.
you know, I think that was really smart of you guys to try and figure out if you jived well with the people also.
Yeah.
And I think couples always should definitely do that if they can.
For sure.
So, okay, that's a good response. Oh, how did you like your venue? What did you think of the venue?
I think we loved it. I mean, I think it was just, okay, we loved it, but obviously there were certain circumstances outside of our control that like made it less than ideal, right? So I think for us, we both have huge families, so it was like we need a place that can accommodate like 250 plus people, and it was great, and the space was awesome. We could not have predicted the rain, and like it just kind of came.
Yeah,
so,
out of nowhere.
Like, so that kind of like, that's no one's fault per se, but yeah, like I think that just kind of complicates it. But I think the venue in and of itself was great. The coordinator that we worked with was awesome, and she really killed it. Yeah.
All the many things we had to deal with. She was rolling with it. She was like, "It's raining. Cool. We're gonna move you in the church."
Yeah. That was nice that they had that little backup plan just like there for us. So yeah.
Right.
So did you have other thoughts on?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, it was a beautiful venue, and I think that the fact that they could work with the rain was huge, because everybody was saying afterward, "I'm so glad they had that church there. Otherwise, we would have all we would all been sitting drenched already in the ceremony, but instead they were just drenched during the reception, which is the fun part anyway."
Right.
So, yeah, I think it worked out that we were able to move at the last minute, and they made it work. And it was beautiful. I remember being really worried about what it looked like, because I had never seen it, the inside of it.
You had never seen the inside of the
No.
church?
No, it just kind of happened.
Because it was never part of the plan.
Yeah.
But because we were like, outdoor wedding.
We were supposed to be in the lawn and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the fact that it ended up, I remember our photographer Haley was like, "Don't worry, it works fine. Like, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it look beautiful in the photos. It looks great." Because yeah, my first thought was like, can everybody fit in it?
Yeah.
And
how's it look?
Like, yeah, how does it look? Like, we planned for outdoor lighting, so I don't know. But right after as soon as I stepped inside, I was like, I can breathe, because it was a beautiful church. Thank goodness.
It was great.
Yeah, so that worked out really well. Beside the rain portion, but yeah, they made it work. Yeah.
And what was the venue, just for reference?
It was the Griffith House in Anaheim, and it has this outdoor portion for reception or ceremony, and there's another ceremony area. We were gonna basically walk from ceremony to reception, which is also really nice, because almost every option in Southern California is just reception or just ceremony, and so the fact that you could do both and you can have a different setting for each one was really cool. And that was a big perk for us.
Yeah.
So nobody had to get in the car and drive.
Yeah.
And so with that many people, it can get chaotic.
Yeah.
So with a big wedding, it was really great for a big wedding. And yeah, people had great things to say too afterward. They said it was really, really pretty with the trees, and
It felt very cozy.
it was cozy. Yeah. It was also approachable. Like, it felt like it felt like us.
Yeah.
Because we're not incredibly like castle fancy. So, so I didn't imagine us being, we can't afford that anyway, but.
That's part of it, yeah.
But yeah, we never imagined being somewhere that was so extravagant. So it felt like somewhere that people felt like fit us really well. So.
Yeah, I think the fact that it had both in one location, I think people don't realize how important that can be on a wedding day, especially because if you think about, like, we've done weddings in the past where you do the church ceremony and then everybody has to drive 30 minutes to the reception. And then what can end up happening is there could be an accident on the freeway or who knows, and people get stuck in traffic, and then all of a sudden, like, timeline gets pushed back really far. And I mean, people will roll with it. It's your wedding day, so they're going to make it work, obviously. But it's just added stress that you probably don't need.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it makes it a lot easier when you choose to do it all in one.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
That
They
kind
could
of a
just
thing.
walk outside and they're already at the reception.
Yeah, definitely. And then we kind of touched on it just a little bit. You guys mentioned, some advice that you would give, to other couples planning their wedding and stuff. But do you think you have any more thoughts, any last pieces of advice for couples planning their wedding right now?
I mean, this is one that was big for us, but like specifically with the DJ, I think just expressing what you want to them. So for example, we've been to some weddings where like the DJ might just play the song and then they just play the song. And it's just like this song, and then that song, and then that song. Like, there's not a lot of mixing or like intentionality behind it necessarily. So I think when we hired our DJ, we were clear like, hey, can you like mix them? Like, can we do this where it's like a chorus of this song and then we go to the next one, or you kind of mix and match as opposed to just being like a Spotify playlist or something, or just where it just feels like automated. We didn't want that as much. So
luckily it was already what he does.
That was his thing. Yeah. So I think that worked out for us, but maybe for other couples who want like the dance floor to be an engaging experience as opposed to like maybe it like dies out or whatever, like keeping the energy high, making sure that the DJ prioritizes, I guess, what you want, or just prioritizes like mixing it to kind of keep the energy going, as opposed to it just feeling pretty
cut and dry, back to back.
maybe, yeah.
Press play on Spotify.
Sure, yeah. Some weddings have been like that in our experience, so we wanted something different.
I think something for me that came up related to like decoration or just little details that I had thought about, I didn't really communicate it with anyone very far in advance. And so I kind of at the last minute, I think the gotcha moment for me came up really quickly with sort of the last minute, here's everything that I have to decorate that I bought, and I guess you figure out where to put it, because I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
And so just, thinking of things in advance in terms of how do I want it to look? Is it that important to me? Is it something that I care about? Do I care about where this flower vase goes? Or do I care about where the seating chart goes, and communicating that in advance, and so you're not stressed. Like, I could have avoided so much stress the day before if I had just already thought these things through, but it was kind of, oh shoot, like I need to, that's something that a planner can help with too. But that we didn't have that, so just kind of realizing all the things that came up the day before that were like, oh, we have to worry about this actually right now, that we wouldn't have had to do if we had done it in advance.
I'm trying to remember, because I think, to your point, like we did have the rehearsal dinner and we met with the day of coordinator. We did cover most of that stuff. Again, the rain like threw the monkey wrench in there, so like maybe some of it didn't apply anymore, right? Like where they put a sign. So yeah, I guess I get what you're saying, where we should have planned for that, but we did cover most of it. But it kind of
we ended up covering it, but we could have avoided the stress before, because I know for me, I was thinking about it the day before and even the morning of, because I was like, where are these things going? I actually don't know if I said that to them. But then they figured it out, and it ended up fine, but I wouldn't have had to worry about that if I had done it in advance, if I had thought about it in advance and communicated it.
That's fair.
And so if there's any desires or anything that you imagine a certain way, like communicating it far enough in advance so you can just stop worrying about things the week of, and you don't have to be like, okay, did I forget something? That, there's no questions because you already covered it, I wish I did that. Avoid some last minute worries.
I'm trying to think. It has been a while, to be honest, so I don't remember like the actual numbers.
I know our budget was 40,000, I think.
Ish, yeah.
Yes. And then it ended up falling around there, definitely surpassed it, because I think we realized certain quality of things can't be compromised for our priorities. We had to end up spending more on certain things because they were something we really cared about, and that's why it ended up going, because we could have been in that range if we really didn't go for the most quality options on certain things. And I remember a lot of the little things started adding up, and the decorations, and we spent a lot on like menus and a lot of little things that we didn't necessarily need, but we thought would be cool. And then we had to start cutting those things out at the end. When we had an idea of something, we realized, oh no, we don't have much time left, and also we don't have a lot of extra money to spend. And so luckily we had a lot of help from our families to cover a lot of the extra expensive things, because otherwise, as a young couple, that's not very easy. And we could have easily, in Southern California, spent so much more if we hadn't thought about every little cost and budgeted and in advance set prices for things. We had an Excel sheet that had numbers on it that we really were trying to stick to. the whole time, and it's really hard with things that you want, like if someone were to want a more extravagant venue, it would be, you would have to spend a lot more than we did to get it. So I think it worked out in the way that we wanted it to be, but we could have easily had to spend a lot more if we weren't thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So how far out of budget do you think you went?
It was pretty close, to be honest. I have to look back at the numbers, but I don't think we were like more than 10% off or something like that. But I think something that Shelby brought up that I want to zoom out on, I think like just even starting with the budget, like context matters, right? So we are in Southern California, and it's like, it's not like in the Midwest or something. No offense to the Midwest, but it's just like, it's just different. It's just cheaper. Yeah. So I think
the truth.
Like rates out here are just going to be different. So even if you search up on these wedding websites, like, hey, allocate this much percentage to this much percentage to that. Like we started with that, knowing that honestly, like going into it, we're like, okay, 40,000 feels reasonable. That's just like kind of arbitrary. But like knowing that we had a certain number, and with that, we wanted to take certain percentages based off of like what, let's say, these guides or websites were telling us. We did that, but when you look at the context, we're in Southern California, so it didn't quite line up that way. And secondly, too, our wedding was just a big wedding. Like not everyone wants like 250, 300 people. So
because then you have to pay for all the food.
Exactly.
All the food,
yeah. So it's like
every single person's chair.
Yeah.
Every single person, it counts for something.
For sure.
So yeah, if you have a big wedding, there's certain things you just have to compromise on if you're trying to stay in a budget.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think it's like our area and our size of wedding dictated like, will this budget work? We kind of made it work, but I don't know if we, like, to Shelby's point, I don't know if we did like every single possible thing that we wanted to do ever. We enjoyed it and it was great and it was a special night, but like we didn't check every single box that we could have ever imagined. And I think that was just all of that kind of added to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So question then, because you had such a big wedding, how much did the food cost in like percentage wise, do you think? Because I think that usually ends up being a really big cost that people don't think about.
Yes.
Because I remember when we got married, it was one of the things where it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to blow our whole budget just on meeting people.
Yeah.
Huge perk with the venue that we could bring our own, because every other venue that we toured required we should have mentioned this earlier. Every other venue that we toured required you to purchase the food they have available there.
Yeah.
And it went like $70 a person up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, what? That is crazy with the amount of people we have. Not possible. And that's why we had to turn down a lot of our other venues. So we got to bring a lot of our own vendors in that we wanted, and that helped out with food costs. And it ended up, how much?
I think it was like,
It's still expensive.
yeah, it was like still like 13 to 15,000 or something, but for like 250 people. So
Right.
I don't know where the math breaks down there, but
It ended up, wasn't it $40 a person?
with like some fees and whatnot, but generally the plates were like 40, 50 as opposed to like 70, 80. Honestly, we should have led with that. Like with the tips, like being able to bring your own stuff, because a lot of the venues is just built in. So to your point, like the drinks and the meals.
Being able to save on.
Yeah, so we brought our own, all types of drinks and brought our own food, or like catered our own food. So that, I think if we hadn't done that, we for sure wouldn't have met our budget at all. Like not even close. So I think that's maybe going back to another question, just like a huge tip. Like if you're looking to make it a more affordable option, then you have to be able to bring your own stuff there.
And that's a good point. If you're trying to make it more affordable, right? Because like if you have the money and you're so busy and you can't like you can't figure out external vendors and things like that for food, then it's way easier if it's like all inclusive.
Definitely.
You know, it's kind of just like don't even have to worry about it. Check off the box.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're trying to budget and plan it out, that's a great tip.
Because I remember too when we were getting married, that was a thing that I didn't expect.
Yes.
Was that they have preferred vendors for even things like catering. You know, and And I just had never thought that like, what? We can't bring our own tacos to our own wedding?
Yeah.
What if we want that?
What if we want tacos?
So that's a great tip for sure. With the budget, how much was yours, and then how much was like help from outside?
Yeah.
A lot of help.
I think it was like close to half and half. Yeah. So, and that's just because, I mean, our families are really generous and wanted to support us in that way. But yeah, about half of it was our parents helping us, and then half of it was us, our own money.
Also helpful that we're the only kids that got married in our family.
Sure. Yeah.
You're
So far?
So far.
right. Yeah. So it was kind of, this is what we've been saving for type of
They
thing.
didn't have a better reason to use that money. Like this is what they're going to use it on. So it's fine.
They were very generous. Yeah. And then a lot of it we had been saving up as well from working.
How long did it take for you guys to save up?
It worked longer than me, so it's mostly yours.
It was a couple years, but I was living at home with my parents too. So obviously that's a huge portion of it where I wasn't paying rent or anything. So I was just, whatever paycheck I got, I was just saving. So that was a big part of it. And then Shelby too, like in college, she wasn't living at home, but she was with a bunch of roommates, and they were able to go all in on a place and kind of keep that affordable. So like both of us were kind of living low to the ground, like not really above our means. And we were dating for what, like 4.5 years or 4 years before we got married. So that was part of it. But I think the saving portion that was like the last couple years while we were out of college. So I would say a couple years to kind of save up that amount that we used for the wedding.
So what were the boxes that you couldn't check that you wanted to if you'd had a bigger budget?
As a side note, I feel like this might get into like, oh, we didn't love this portion or like this vendor or this thing. So I don't know.
You don't want to throw shade?
I don't necessarily, but like, I mean, I guess part of it too was like our wedding size, right? So maybe there were certain dream venues that we wanted, but they're either too pricey or not big enough to accommodate what we could do or what we wanted. So maybe like there were certain venue options that maybe it wasn't we didn't go with our first choice on that. I would say, maybe Shelby can speak to this, but like even with the dress options, I don't know if you went like all the way, like the dress that, like the most expensive special dress that you could have. Was that?
It worked out, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I had that on my mind for sure when I was shopping. It was kind of like, I can't even try these ones on.
Yeah.
I don't want to even go there. So it was, they didn't even show me anything out of my price range, which was helpful. But that would have been.
I think they do that on purpose.
Yeah.
They did that when I went dress shopping.
Yeah. So you're not disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You walk out of there sad and don't buy anything.
Yeah. So I ended up getting the best one and it wasn't the most expensive one. So that was good. But I think, I mean, kind of talking about the same thing as we did earlier, but we definitely would have invested in a planner if we had more, if we didn't think about budget as much, because that was a big expense. Looking back, probably worth it.
Yeah.
But I think at the time that was a big thing that we wanted to check, but we realized we kind of pushed it aside because of our budget. And it was one of the bigger expenses that we decided wasn't necessary at the time. Looking back, it was. It would have been pretty useful, but yeah. And I think a lot of little things. There was like a lot of decoration related things. I had seen so many videos on TikTok or reels of other people's weddings, and they look so beautiful with decorations and huge signs and big walls that people can take pictures in front of, and all of those things, when I looked up the price, were not even in the cards whatsoever. And so that was a big thing that I realized, like, I need to be realistic and not compare too much of this random person's wedding I saw that went viral and my wedding, because we do not have the same budget. And so that was a big thing too that I had to come to terms with. Stop looking at those videos, focus on what's in front of me, what do I actually need, what can I do that's more do-it-yourself and crafty and get a similar result, you know, that type of thing. And even going down to like the design of our seating chart, I ended up designing it myself because I didn't want to pay for somebody else's design and getting it printed at Staples, and you know, rather than just saving money in little ways that ended up making it beautiful. But yeah, the comparison game made it harder for sure.
Yeah, I think especially because all of it gets documented so well for weddings, because I mean, you get the photographer and the videographer, and then everybody shows it off and everything. I think that's something huge that people end up getting caught up in when they start planning their wedding, because they see all these dream things on Pinterest and like TikTok and Instagram Reels, and they're like, oh my gosh, I want all of that, and then you realize that you can't do it. And then people, you know, they end up getting disappointed, but then they forget that like the whole purpose is you're getting married, you know, and because you want to love each other for the rest of your lives.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a super important day, and you want to make it as beautiful as possible, but don't lose sight of the fact that like that's the core reason that you're here. Which was cool that's what ended up happening with your wedding day too. Like you mentioned, it stripped away all of the surface level stuff, and then you remembered like, oh, like we're here to get married, you know? If you guys have any more questions for us or for Brandon and Shelby, feel free to leave them in the comment section below.
Smash that like button.
Don't forget to watch our wedding video. Tell us what you think in the comments, and subscribe and turn on that bell. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.